It was a bright, humid Thursday afternoon on Willow Lane, a quiet suburban street in Charleston, South Carolina, when an everyday event spiraled into a national tragedy. What started as a neighbor's concern soon escalated into a scene of chaos, tears, and irreversible consequences. This is the real-life inspired story of Marcus Hale, a respected black software engineer, and what happened when he tried to enter his own home, and a white woman next door decided he didn't belong. Marcus Hale, 34, was a soft-spoken, well-educated man who had just moved into a two-story colonial-style home with his pregnant wife, Tanya, and their 6-year-old daughter, Nyla. He had worked hard for this moment. After years of saving and dealing with discrimination in the tech industry, this house wasn't just property, it was a symbol of everything he'd overcome. Willow Lane, though beautiful and neatly kept, had a reputation. Not officially, but in whispers, "Not a lot of people like you out here," one black contractor had once told Marcus while installing the security system. Marcus brushed it off. He believed in peace, in change, and in being a good neighbor. He was about to learn that not everyone shared that belief. On June 3, 2024, Marcus arrived home early from work to surprise Tanya. She had been exhausted from the pregnancy, and he thought he'd cook dinner and pick up Nyla from her summer art camp. Dressed in a simple gray hoodie and jeans, he parked his SUV in the driveway and walked toward the front door, keys in hand. Just as he placed the key into the lock, he heard a sharp voice behind him. "Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?" A middle-aged white woman stood across the driveway, arms folded, phone in hand. Her name, he would later learn, was Carolyn Meyer, his next-door neighbor. "I'm going into my house," Marcus replied, confused but calm. "That's not your house. I know the owners. I've lived here 22 years, she said coldly. Marcus chuckled nervously. "Ma'am, I live here. We moved in last month. My wife, Tanya, she's inside." Carolyn took a few steps closer, still holding her phone. "I've never seen you. This is a nice neighborhood, we don't just let people walk up and break in." "I'm not breaking in," he said, now tense. "I live here. I can show you my ID, mail, whatever you need." But it was too late. She was already dialing. "Yes, 911. There's a suspicious black man trying to break into a house on Willow Lane. He's aggressive. Hurry." Marcus stood frozen. Not again, he thought. Not like this. His hands began to shake, not with fear, but with the weight of every memory of being mistaken, accused, profiled. He knocked on the door. Tanya didn't answer. She was asleep upstairs, headphones on. Minutes later, 2 police cruisers screeched onto the street. What happened next was captured on body cam and a neighbor's Ring camera. Officers exited their vehicles, guns drawn. Hands in the air. "Step away from the door." Marcus turned slowly, hands raised. "I live here. This is my house. My wife, Tanya, is inside. Do you have ID on you?" "It's in my back pocket." "Can I reach for it?" Slowly. Marcus retrieved his wallet, trembling. But the moment he pulled it out, one officer, Officer Grant Miles, a rookie, mistook the motion and tackled him to the ground. His face slammed against the concrete steps. Tanya, hearing the commotion, rushed downstairs, screaming. "That's my husband. What are you doing?" "Marcus." The officers froze. One looked up at Carolyn. "You said the owner was a white woman." I assumed. "I didn't know, but it was already done." Marcus suffered a fractured nose, a sprained wrist, and multiple abrasions. But the deepest wound was not physical, it was emotional. He was detained for 6 hours, interrogated, fingerprinted, before the mistake was admitted. The incident exploded on social media after Tanya uploaded the Ring footage and body cam clips obtained through their lawyer. Hashtags like #WalkingWhileBlack and #WillowLaneInjustice trended worldwide. The police department held a press conference. "We acknowledge a series of misjudgments and apologize to Mr. Hale and his family," but Marcus wasn't interested in apologies. He wanted accountability. Carolyn Meyer gave a public statement, "I was only trying to protect the neighborhood. I'm not racist. But the world wasn't convinced. She was forced to deactivate her social media after backlash and resign from the HOA board. Marcus and Tanya filed a civil rights lawsuit against the police department and the city for unlawful detention, racial profiling, and emotional trauma. The suit also included Carolyn Meyer for false reporting. Investigators revealed that Carolyn had previously made 3 similar calls in the past 2 years, all involving Black or Latino individuals she didn't recognize. Under mounting pressure, the city settled the lawsuit for $3.2 million, with a formal letter of apology and a public commitment to officer retraining and anti-bias programs. But the money didn't fix what was broken. Every time I walk up to my door now, Marcus told a journalist, I wonder who's watching me, judging me. Waiting to call the cops on me just for being where I belong. Weeks after the incident, a local investigative reporter uncovered something darker. Carolyn had used a racial slur in one of the unredacted 911 recordings. He's a big Black man. I don't feel safe. They shouldn't live here. The recording wasn't included in the official police release, but it leaked. That discovery led to an FBI investigation into Carolyn for potential civil rights violations. It turned out she'd been quietly part of a neighborhood watch a group online that frequently targeted Black families with coded language and surveillance photos. She was eventually charged with filing a false police report under hate crime motivation, making her one of the few in the state's history to face such a charge. Her trial made headlines. In court, she broke down. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, but the jury found her guilty. She was sentenced to 18 months of probation, 200 hours of community service, and required to attend racial bias counseling and publicly apologize to the Hale family in court. A year later, Marcus and Tanya still live on Willow Lane. They refuse to move, despite the trauma. Leaving would mean they won, Tanya said in an interview. We fought to be here. The community changed. The police implemented reforms, including mandatory de-escalation training and accountability boards with civilian oversight. Marcus now speaks at universities and conferences, advocating for justice reform and neighborhood inclusion. He started an organization, Belong Here, which supports Black homeowners facing discrimination. His story is a painful reminder that racism doesn't always wear a hood. Sometimes, it wears a cardigan and calls itself a concerned neighbor. But it also shows the power of truth, and what can happen when someone stands their ground. This case wasn't about a mistake. It was about the invisible line that still separates belonging from a threat in America. When a man can't walk into his own home without fear, we are all less free. But when courage meets accountability, even the most silent streets can speak truth.